Hey guys, welcome to lesson 4. Today we are going to start day 1 of lesson 4. And so what I need you to get out today is I need to make sure you have your notebook, your lesson book, a pencil, and in your lesson book, we're going to start on page 28 and 29. So what we're going to do today is we're going to read a bunch of questions. We're going to rewrite these really big numbers differently. And we're going to learn what scientific notation is all about. Okay, are y'all ready? So let's make sense of this problem. So I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to try to figure out what's important, what we're looking for. The planet Venus is more than blank miles away from the sun. Write this number as the product of two factors. Okay, so before we move on, I want you to think about this. Planet Venus is more than blank miles from the sun. Miles. Well, I can walk a mile. There's people out there that can run marathons 26 miles, but Venus and the sun. What do you think's behind that box? If you think it's a pretty big number, you're pretty good. Good job. That's right. And then, so it's asking me to write this number as the product of two factors. Product. That means it means to multiply. Good. Okay. So let's see what it's telling us to do. It wants us to write this number as a number that is greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10 times a power of 10. Think about that for a moment. A number that is greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10 times a power of 10. Okay, so we're going to break those two up, okay? So I want you to think of, let's do this part a little bit at a time, okay? So let's think of a number right there that is greater than or equal to 1. Let's see, it can be greater than 1, right? And it can also be equal to 1. So far we know it can be 1. Let's read the rest. But it has to be less than 10. So it can be 1, but what number is less than 10? 9. So could it be? Yeah, it could be all the numbers in between, right? 1 through 9. It can't be greater than, it's got to be less than 10. So it can't be 10, but think about all the numbers that are between 1 and 10. Don't forget about decimals, right? Okay, so I could have 1.5, I could have 9.5. We just can't have 10. And we're going to be multiplying by a power of 10. So think about the word power. What comes to mind? Good. Hopefully you thought exponent, the power of. So like 10 to the power of 5, 10 to the power of 4. These are exponents. Good. Okay, so far we have in our head a little bit, right? Okay, so let's uncover that square. Behind that square, we've got 60 million. All right, 60 million. So we're going to rewrite this number. So what I want you to think about, what we're doing today, it's going to kind of be like we have this big accordion and we're going to like squunch our number to like where we're writing, kind of like how y'all do with texting. You take those because, between, be right back, and you take those big phrases or big words that we don't feel like texting and we make them small, right? That's exactly what we're going to do today. And we're going to learn how to rewrite these numbers where they equal the same thing, but it's shortened, okay? So here's our 60 million, okay? And so the first part of this is we want a number that is greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10. Can you find it? Okay, if you found a 6, good job. That's exactly what we're going to start with. We're going to put him over there to the side, right? Okay. Then the second part talks about a power of 10. So let's look at this number for a minute, okay? And I'm going to white him out, and we're going to pretend like we're Because since we took out that 6, let's just make this a 1 because we're doing 2 parts of it, right? So if I divide 6 out of it, it's only going to be a 1, right? Okay, so we've got 10 million now. I want to know how many tens are in this 10 million. So let's see. Well, if we talk about place value, and you're going to hear me say that a lot today, place value. Today's about place value. It is not about zeros. I'll say that again. It is about place value, not about counting zeros. I wanted to start off with an easier one. So it might seem like we're counting zeros, but we're talking about place value. So let's look at this 0 right here, for example. This is in the what column? Okay, hopefully you said it's in the ones column. I'm bringing it all the way back from 4th grade, guys, right? 4th grade place value, maybe 3rd grade. So what's the next one over? 10. What about the next one over? Good, 100. Well, keep going, keep going. Okay, so I'm going to pause right there for just a second. So we've got the ones column, the tens column, the hundreds column, the thousands, the 10,000s, the 100,000s. Okay, good job. All right. What is happening each time we move place value? Do you realize that we are multiplying by 10 every time? You might forget that because you learned it all the way back in elementary. So I'm just bringing it back because we're going to need it today and we're going to need it on day 2. Because I need you to know that we're multiplying because 1 times 10 is 10. And then 10 times 10 is 100, right? And so on and so on. Let's count how many 10s we've got. That's 1 10, 2 10s, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did we count right? Let's try that again. Right? So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if we look at how many times we have these 10s, oh, I got to get to that 1 too, right? Let's see. So here's a 10, here's a 10, here's a 10. So that gives me 3 10s, right? And then 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we have 7 10s involved in this number. Can you write that with a base and an exponent for me? Pause the video and do that on your sheet, please. Okay, let's see if we did good. So we have 7 10s. See if we remember how we write this from lesson 1, right? Good, 10 to the 7th power. Okay, so remember I talked about my accordion, right? So we know how many 10s are involved in this. And we know that there was a 6. Let's pull that back. There he is. So here was my 6. And here is my 10 to the 7th power. What's the one piece that I'm missing to kind of glue it all together? Let's see if we could find it. Oh, is that it right there? We're going to find a product of 2 factors. 6 is my 1 factor. The 10 billion right here, 10 million is right here. And we're going to multiply it, and that's what gives us our 60 million. Isn't that cool? We took this big number, right? And we broke them into 2 parts, the factor of 6 and 10 million, and then we rewrote it. So now I'm going to show you the same thing, but now I'm going to use my little decimal guy right here. See my little smiley face? Okay, so he's my little decimal guy. So he's behind the number, and just like we just wrote it with all the 10s, this is showing. So I showed you the Y. Now I'm going to show you how my decimal moves because we know how many 10s are involved, right? So when I move my decimal, I am multiplying by 10. So watch this. You ready? So far, he's back here. I multiply by 10 and I move up. That's 1 10, 2, 3 10s, 4, 5, 6. I moved my little decimal guy 7 10s up. And do you notice that's where we got this right here, our exponent of 7. Okay, let's try that again. But this time, I'm going to show you how it's written just to remind us how we broke it apart. So this was our answer, right? This number right here, remember, it can be a decimal as long as it's less than 10 and it has to be equal to 1 or greater, okay? So these are very, very important details. And then my power of 10, that little guy is going to have my exponent, right? Okay, so let's look at this number right here. We have a big number. Notice there's not a lot, as many zeros, right? There's not as many zeros. So I want to make sure that we are taking this one very carefully in how we do it. So let's go ahead and get my little decimal guy out. Where did my decimal guy go? There he is. All right, so here's my decimal guy. I'm going to put him right here. But before we do that, let's see if we could find our first factor. Okay, I want to find my first factor. We're going to put him right here. Okay, pause the video and see if you can find a number that is greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, so I'll be honest, most people, some of my students at the beginning would give me this number. Did anybody do that? Did you just give me a 1? Because if you did, you're close. But let's see if we could do better than that, right? Okay. Did anybody do 1.8? Okay. All right. What about 1.85? If you did that, you are right on the money. Good job. So let me show you how we can look at our number that way too. So if I'm looking at my number and I'm pulling it out like this, right? Okay. Do you see how the first number I come to gives me a number that is, check this out, greater than or equal to 1, right? So if I put my little decimal right here, okay, and I look at what I have left, I want to make sure that I include everything in the factor that I need. Because if I'm doing a product of 2 factors, I need to make sure I include everything. So let's think about money, for example. If this is $1,850,000, it's a lot of money, right? 1,850,000. If all I do is 1 times 10 to something, guess how much money I'm losing? I'm losing $850,000. That's a lot of money, right? So we want to make sure we include everything that is included into this number right here. That's part of my factor. So as I multiply, I'm going to be multiplying this guy with my tens. Okay, so that's very, very important. So we don't just have a 1, but we have 1.85. Now let's talk about how many tens are we dealing with, okay? Every time I move my decimal, that's times a 10, right? So let's say we got 1, 2 10, 3, 4. What happens if I stop here? Is that going to be right? Because I have 4 zeros. That makes sense, right? 4 zeros? What did I say we weren't doing today? We are not counting zeros. We are counting what? Okay, we're looking at the whole number and we're going to shrink it up, but we have to make sure all of our place values are being accounted for. So if I stop at just my zeros, what's happening to my 8 and my 5? They're not being counted. So not only do I have to make sure my 8 and 5 are in this number, but I got to make sure that they are in, where's my little guy? There he is, that we are including them in our tens. Okay, so it's not to the 4th power, is it? Good, it's to the 6th power. All right, guys. Okay. How you feel so far? Feeling okay? So let's move on and see if we can do some more. Okay. So most people ask, Miss Leo, when am I ever going to use this? Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of scientists out there that use this every day. The speed of light, for example. the distance in science. Oh my goodness. Like, and then tomorrow or day 2, we're going to talk about like decimals and how these small nanoseconds, how we can rewrite them. So this is a skill that is used very, very daily, very daily. Okay. So in your notebook, I want you to try this one on your own. Try to write this with, remember, we're going to have 2 things, 2 factors, one number that's between 1 greater than or equal to 1 and less than 10 times the product of 10 to the power of. Pause the video and see how you can do. Okay, let's see how you did, guys. Did you stop at the 3? And then let's see how many place values we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you say 3 times 10 to the 8? Because if you did, you are on a roll and doing amazing. All right, guys, let's try another one. Don't let me trick you on this one, okay? Ready? Pause the video and work this out in your notebook. Okay, let's see how you did. So, did you pull this aside and say, well, 9 is greater than 1 or equal to 1 and less than 10? So if I put my decimal here and I looked at what I have left, did you include the 9.29? Look very closely at your notes. Did you include the 9.29? Okay. And then when I multiply times 10 to the power, here's the trick. Did I just count my zeros? Are we counting zeros today? Because we better not be. We are not counting zeros today. We are counting place value. And if my decimal is way up here, guess what we have to do? We're starting from where our decimal is. This is where our decimal is, but we want it to be somewhere else. We're shrinking it, remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you got 10 to the 7th power, God, you're on a roll. You're rocking it. If not, find your mistakes and remember, make sure you catch them. Math is all about mistakes. Make them. As long as you can make them and learn from them, you are learning. That's awesome. I love mistakes in math. Trust me, they're great. Okay, so let's see this. Here's another example. Pause the video and write it in scientific notation. Go. Okay, so this one I have changed a little bit. Gave you 2 answer choices. Instead of asking which one is correct, can you find which answer is incorrect? If you said A, why did you say A that is incorrect? What did A do wrong to make it incorrect? Did you notice they just counted zeros? Did you notice? I hope you did. I hope you did. Because this is a big mistake, and this is where LEAP is going to catch you. Okay, this is where your testing is going to catch you, because that 3 right there, they know my students are going to count zeros if we're not focused and remembering, wait a minute, it's not about zeros. It's about place value. That's why I got to go that extra 10. Okay, so good. If you got B, good job. You are on a roll. All right, let me see if I can get you again. You ready? Oh, wait, I didn't. Oh, that's okay. I was going to hide it, but I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hide it. Okay, pause my video and write it first. It's always important you write it first before you try to find your answers, okay? So write it first. Okay, let's see how you did, okay? This time I want you to find the right answer, but we're going to try to figure out why all of the others are wrong. It's very important that we know why they're wrong. Students make these mistakes all the time, okay? Do you find your answer? Okay, let's talk about why the others are wrong first before we get our answer. So let's look at A. What's wrong with A? Is A right? Did I trick you? Who stopped here and didn't continue on? It looks like A did that and D did that. So A, not only did A not go on, but he also did what? Oh, that crazy A. He didn't go on and he only counted zeros. So he's out. D, well, he did good on the place value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But look at his number. He's missing some digits. This 0 is really important. These zeros on the end, that's why we're shrinking it, right? So when we are doing scientific notation and writing it from standard, if a 0 is in the middle of a number, it's important, right? And we want to keep that number. But these zeros right here, well, that's part of us shrinking it in our accordion, okay? So this 4 is what kept that 0 safe. So this D, he's out. Now let's look at B. We have B and C left. What did, is C correct? Let's see. So let's see. So C has 6, B has 3. Who counted zeros? Oh, that darn B. Silly B. We're going to take him out. He counted zeros. So if you got C, congratulations. You did amazing. Pat yourself on the back. Good job. Okay. Now, can we go backwards? So we took a lot of time going forward because it was all about what? Not zeros, place value. So let's see how good you do going from scientific to standard. Do you want to try this one on your own before I jump in? I bet you do. Pause this video and see how well you do without me. Okay, you ready to go? Let's see. Let's take our decimal, right? Or you know what? Let me get my little decimal guy. Let me get my decimal guy. And how many times are we going to move our decimal? Did you say 8? How do you know that? Is this guy right here because it's times 10 to the 8th power. He's telling us we are moving 8 places. That's right. Good. So let's move 8 places. So we're going to go 1, 2. I have nothing left, right? So guess what I'm going to do? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What do I fill in all those bubbles? Good. I'm going to fill zeros. That's right. Okay. Remember I said it's not about counting zeros. How many zeros do we have? We don't have 8, do we? We sure don't. We have 6 because we have 2 right here. All right. Cool, guys. Let's try again. You ready? Let's try this one. Here's my 2 answer choices. Who did it correctly? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to count zeros. Let's see who did it correctly. We need to move 5 decimal places or 5 place values because it's all about 10, right? Times 10, times 10, times 10. Our number is getting bigger because we keep multiplying it by tens. So let's see. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see this one. If this is where my decimal is, and I want to put it where it needs to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did this guy do it right? He sure did. So if you got this one, good job. All right, guys. Well, good luck with your lesson for day 1, and join me for day 2 when we're going to do small numbers instead of big numbers. Okay, guys, it was great. Thank you. Have a great one.